So my wife sent me this. It's from mirror.co.uk, an article that says a super, you see the word, of that could be even more dangerous than Delta, experts claims. Immunologist Saeed Reddy of the Federal Technology Institute, ETH Zurich, said a super V will inevitably emerge next year, and knew that word will need to be developed for years to come. And it goes through talking about this super V and how people that don't have the snake bite will be super spreaders and blah blah blah. But that's not the real interesting part. Let me see where is that. That's him right there. He's obviously a sellout, right? And there again, the viral load of Delta is so great that anyone that has not been stuck with the snake, who's infected with a variant, can be a super nice guy. But anyway, this is the part that's really alarming. Professor Dr. Reddy said all children should get it because there is enough evidence to show that they are not a threat under 12. It's pretty crazy, man. They are after the children again. What's up, YouTube? It's Biblical Truther. Sorry, it's been a while, but just trying to get some things together in life. Know how hard it is these days. But that video, or that little screen reading I did there, kind of says it all. And I was watching Monty earlier, and he had mentioned something about this approval that has happened just in time for the old kids to go back to school, right? Like he said, does anybody find that strange? Yeah, I do. But as I've been saying for well over a year now, since I started on this YouTube channel, or my previous channel, it's all about the children, you know what I'm saying? But I made some observations of late. You know, a lot of people's already seen this inflatable business that they got on the old mainstream. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, it's been quite a bit of coverage on that. You know, where the people were hanging on, trying to escape a certain, you know, the T word. But they try and strike fear into the hearts of many Americans, and not just Americans, but obviously people in the Middle East. But it was so blatant that you got a guy running in front of the camera, just jumping, like throwing his leg back, just jumping for glee, while they're so scared trying to escape, right? That was the first thing I seen before all the coverage on the inflatable bounce house business that our mainstream seems to be involved in. Because a friend of mine at work, his first thing last week, he comes in and says, man, I went home the other day and my wife's like, babe, I've been seeing all this stuff happening and over there in the East, and all these people trying to escape. I just feel so terrible for them. And I was like, dude, is it not obvious enough that it's that propaganda type thing, you know? That was before the inflatable bounce house business fiasco that came about thereafter, where these life-size replicas, they forgot to paint the entrance to the freaking inflatable on the side of it. You know, I knew it was obviously a farce right off the bat because it was covered in the mainstream, and there's been tons, even people in the truther community reporting on all this stuff. But then again, you have to remember, we are emotional creatures, and that's how they steer a populace, is with their emotions. So apparently, as my friend at work's wife found herself heartbroken over the atrocities happening in the Middle East. And I'm not saying that it's not happening. I'm just saying what they're showing us is probably not of the variety that they're trying to depict it as they used an inflatable to perpetrate this, hanging on to the plane. It's just unreal, man, unreal. And they think we're just that stupid that we won't notice, the obvious things that most people are falling for. And there's a lot of people in the truth community that are reporting on this stuff too, man. If you remember what Werner von Braun's assistant, what's her name, Dr. Carol Rosin, I think is her name. She said that was one of the main things in the 3 or 4 step process of bringing about the single world government, was a striking terror in the minds of the people, using certain groups in order to do that. We got the number that was on that inflatable that supposedly happened by some people of the Middle Eastern descent, and now they're starting back up. Oh my God, we need to be scared, right? Now, I have no doubt, because of the stuff that's been coming out, that we're heading into a fantastic Freddy of an autumn and winter months to come. And I said I think it was my last video about the threshing floor, that we are heading for the threshing floor where the wheat and the wheat lookalikes are going to be separated. And then a lot of stuff started coming out, and a lot of people started reporting on just that, not calling it the threshing floor, but we know that they've been foreshadowing this dark winter for some time. And I keep telling people, and I've mentioned it here on this channel, that if you want to know what's coming, just go back a year ago and see what they were talking about. Because it seems to me, and we've had pretty good evidence to show, that stuff that they were saying weren't happening last year and they were calling theories, here we are a year later and they're becoming reality. And it's not just that. This was about the same time that General Perna of Operation Warp, how would you cover that up? You know what I'm talking about, though. Speed. That our great President Donald J. Drumpf was the father of. You know what I'm saying? He was the, so they tell us, the brainchild of this Operation Warp. Let's get to where we're going type thing. The NW order. Sad we gotta speak crazy, stupid, almost like Casey said the other day, a new language. It's kind of crazy, man. But speaking of the T-Man, did anybody catch his little gathering in Alabama? I thought this to be very interesting. My wife showed me this last night, so of course I got to show you guys. Check this out.
I know Mo spoke, but come up and say just a quick word, Mo. He's doing very poorly in the polls. He's only up at about 90%. Come on, Mo.
Thank you, Mr. President, and future President of the United States of America. I'm pleased to announce the second coming of President Donald J. Trump. Go
get him. I'll do my best. Thank you. Go get him, Mo. Thank you, Mo.
The second coming of Donald J. Drumpf. Ain't that crazy how the verbiage that they use around this guy? And I know there's been some talk about, Barack and possibility of him, rumors of him coming back into play. But if they do, can our sitting commander-in-chief, and then we get the two runners-up, the new president and vice president, I think we'll be in some real trouble. But anyway, it's not to say that we don't already know this, but it is funny, and I will mention Jonathan Clegg, where he talks about, I think it's in Daniel, where it says that there will be a time of trouble such as the world has never seen, and that word trouble in the concordance can mean a female rival. It's kind of coincidence, right? That if we end up with those two, we'd have two female rivals in the commander and little commander-in-chief position. So if this were to happen, I would say be ready, because things are going to go from 0, or we might be cruising about 30 miles an hour right now, to about 150 almost overnight. So again, as far as the first little article I covered, I can't stress it enough, man, to get your kids home. And I know that's somewhat impossible for some people, but this is going to happen. You see the coverage in Australia, how they were going to bring 24,000 without parents to a place where they can stick needles in them. So they're not caring about the age limit. Neither is this guy whose article I covered from the UK. He's wanting them all. So as I said before about the whole relinquishing your children to the state by bringing them to a state-run institution, maybe you should do your own research on that. And do what you can to prevent this from happening to your children. And if you don't want to take my warning, then so be it. It's your children. They will be in my prayers. But for everyone who are taking warnings seriously, whether it happens or not, at least you'll be prepared if it does. But now that we've gotten approval, it's coming. And why not? Why have an age limit when they have approved this thing, this genetically modifying serum? So, just a few observations that's been made over the last week or two, even up until today, because that article I led with was from today. So for him to call specifically out our youth below 12, best believe they're not playing, and they're going to do it. They're going to come for them. And what you see happening in Australia is just a hop, skip, and a jump from here. Especially if we get the duo of the female rivals in our seat of power. So just a few things to think about. I found them interesting. But again, on the whole T-Man situation and the Barack situation, I still just don't see how it would be possible for them to deceive, even if it were possible, the elect to wander after Barak. However, many of our brothers and sisters are already wandering after the T-Man. So if they do come about, in about face like a lot of these Republicans are doing, and say, you know what, there is science, because that's their religion, that proves that this thing is detrimental to your health, then they're going to flip-flop, just like they always do. And then they're going to come out with the whole Pentagon release of the DARPA-developed Rice device. If you know what I'm saying. And then you're going to be given your choice. And that's when I think the 7 laws of Noahide will be enforced at the same time, because they want everyone worshiping the same God worldwide, and you will be beheaded if you don't. And we already know, we've been over those laws in regards to Jesus Christ and what they're going to do to those who believe in the only Christ that has ever walked this earth. So just be ready, man. Don't know what next month's bringing yet, but if they decide to move on this commander-in-chief thing, it's gonna get real crazy real fast. So I just wanted to put these couple of things out there. I seen someone that made a comment on another video I made about the whole inflatable thing. Yes, I did see it, and I called BS from the jump, amongst my, friends, if you want to call them that, because I don't have very many of those in life. For they are all selfish and backbiters and, boastful and bragging and in competition with an imaginary competition that I have know nothing about, that, constantly have to try and outdo me for everything. But it's all good. I still love them. But anyway, I love you guys, and think about some of these things.
Stand therefore, having your loins girt about with truth, and having on the breastplate of righteousness, and your feet shod with the preparation of the gospel of peace. Above all, taking the shield of faith, wherewith ye shall be able to quench all the fiery darts of the wicked, and take the helmet of salvation, and the sword of the Spirit, which is the word of God, praying always with all prayer and supplication in the Spirit, and watching thereunto with all perseverance and supplication for all saints,